seeker, becoming a seeker, entering into this journey. And so we have been understanding the fourfold practice. So this Viveka, the first discernment, will continue directly or indirectly. But I have requested you all that better to listen from the first session, this series of how to become a seeker to succeed, extract the main points from there, check how you can apply in thought, speech, and action. And then apply it in day-to-day life. So the master poses a question that do we have an opportunity to live in first, that is discernment, and then dispassion? So the best way is that you talk to your clients, your friends and relations, son and the daughter, anyone. Remind, or your assistant Terry. So remind and recall when they talk about, either they talk about stress and suffering, anxiety and the challenges, or they are enjoying the pleasures of all kinds. If your intellect is available, you have a clarity, what will happen internally? You are communicating with that discernment. And if you are communicating with that discernment, my friends, you will see in a couple of weeks the life will rise very high. So what will happen? That is what we are going to now take up the uh, second practice, that is what is dispassion. So what will happen? Your mind, while expressing, teaching, teaching, and others will become more and more aware. There are two things: clarity, understanding in the intellect, and level of our self-awareness. I believe you understand. Animals live at a lower level of self-awareness, and they do not have an intellect, so they are pre-programmed. Just see that. You have to apply that in day-to-day life. So once you start applying, you will find that such a beautiful state will come, and we will clear our doubt about uh, dispassion also. So now understand very clearly. Some of you may have raised questions. Dispassion means aloofness. Oh, aloofness means, being sad. No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. So now see, intellectual understanding, clarity, doubt-free knowledge is discernment, right? And behavior, attitude, response is dispassion. Now we are going to talk of the second, what is known as dispassion, vairagya. Normally in India, we have many Indian friends here. Vairagya means, going to the Himalayas, sitting there like plants and animals. No, it will not work. Becoming a monk. No. That is 100% clear. So understand, what is discernment? Intellectual understanding, clarity, doubt-free knowledge of the Eastern wisdom. And when you bring about a change in your behavior, attitude, response to the world outside is dispassion. Our friend Lara has asked a couple of questions about dispassion. No, it has nothing to do with aloofness. It is an active state, not aloofness. It is not sad or indifference. I am actively aware based on the knowledge, Hence, I do not react. You see that it is very active, it is very lively. There is an attitude of dispassion. I was just talking to Stephen. Now my body is exhausted, my mind has a fatigue, but I am okay. Active dispassion. Dispassion has to be active. So, what happens? We have been talking about fourfold practices. Let me give you a brief. So, as I said, there is a clarity, doubt free knowledge, what is known as discernment. We have covered in few weeks. So now it has to be translated into my behavior and attitude. That is what the dispassion is. And then comes the third group of practice, which we will talk later in the future. That is known as six treasures, six inner wealth. So whatever the misalignment is left in between the behavior, attitude, and the knowledge on the other side is done by the six treasures, six inner wealth. What will happen then? You will never forget your real self. You have yet to realize it, but you will never forget. That makes us a great seeker. And once you are a seeker, you never fail in this journey of self-discovery. Yeah? I think you get it. Intellectual understanding, doubt-free knowledge. Now you live into that doubt-free knowledge and someone reacts to you. Dispassion, knowledge, behavior. Something misalignment is left. What is misalignment is left? I know I still react internally and I get upset. So that misalignment between the behavior and the knowledge is removed by the six inner wealth. Then what happens? Your intellect never forgets the real self. That is known as you are a seeker. You have an intense desire to you have an intense desire to continue tread the path. I believe you are clear. We will talk in detail about this dispassion. So knowledge by discernment is already present in the mind and in the intellect, and the mind has strong likes and dislikes. They are deep rooted at the mental level. We already know it. Then what happens? Because the discernment is there, so you have a choice to react or respond. You have a choice to drop the habitual pattern and live into the higher awareness. What happens? Mind becomes empty. So those people who have been complaining, oh, my mind has a lot of thoughts, what should I do? It's your mind. But what happens when you follow these two steps? The mind almost remains free. You need not to worry about mind is scattered. And that will help you absorb into meditation. So first is the intellectual problem. So we deal the intellectual problem by discernment. And then comes the behavior problem. Many people say that, because if you are following, you are all seekers. That's why I'm talking little deeper. Otherwise, I cannot change my behavior. I do not remember. A couple of people you might have seen, they have attended and they have left. So the behavior problem is dealt deeply by the practice of dispassion. So are you clear? It has nothing to do with aloofness. It has nothing to do with sadness. It has nothing to do with keeping a big face. I'm indifferent to the things. Why you are indifferent? Who told you? You told me, so you have understood it wrongly. So, what happens now? By these processes and steps, you know, yeah, one more point. This two practices, the discernment and the dispassion works, they are knowledge practice. I have to remember this. I have to keep in my head all the time. Once you change your behavior, how it happens? In the mind. So, what will happen? That impression of changed behavior and attitude will change your brain. The brain will change your attitude. Attitude will change your personality. Personality will change your life. Internally, now you are a seeker. Then you never forget the journey of life. We discussed already that Viveka is a cognitive ability, clarity and understanding. Now, behavior expresses itself through the six neighbors. I talked about it. The outermost neighbor is the world outside. Yeah? Say, I like and love Lara, so my response is always full of love and wisdom. But internally, my mind has created an impression of disliking again for someone. So this behavior is going to manifest indirectly or indirectly. Look at it. How our masters are so clear about this. We simply say, I'm sorry, and react again. 10 times sorry, 10 times the same reaction. See the beauty of this journey. So, six neighbors brings out when there is doubt, when there is no clarity, then these six neighbors comes out with reactive impulsive behavior. So now come directly, what exactly is the dispassion? How the dispassion is defined by our masters. Viraga kaha. So the master defines the absence of outward moving tendency of the mind that is looking for pleasure in the world and also in the heaven. One, and the deep inside leads to detachment, is dispassion. It all relates to my behavior. Absence of outward moving tendency of the mind. Outward moving tendency of the mind, going, for example, to the Stephen. So when this mind is going outward, it already has some impression about Stephen. That is why it is going. For seeking pleasure in the world. And sometime we follow those great, uh, with due respect to our uh, priest and others. And oh, I will send you to heaven. Don't worry. Continue to pray. We don't have any idea and understanding. Heaven is a blind faith, blind belief. It does not exist. So we don't go for it. Second part of the dispassion is the deep insight. You are not fighting with your attachment or detachment. You have an insight that removes the attachment and detachment. When you were born, were you attached? So you will say, no, no, I'm attached to my honey. Are you attached to me? Why? Why not? Ask the question. I don't have that deeper insight and clarity. There is no need to be attached. Let me express my love and peace and happiness. I believe you're getting it. I'll take up this dispassion in a different way. So this dispassion is known as vairagya in Sanskrit. It is neither attachment nor detachment, neither likes nor dislikes. It doesn't mean that indifference, sad. No, no, no. It is active, means you are aware. You are none of the six neighbors. You are a real self. And when you apply this Viveka, it becomes dispassion. What is dispassion? You understand discernment. You apply discernment. It becomes dispassion. Discernment has to become dispassion. Now, see from the other point of view, the mind has by default likes and dislikes. Liking and disliking creates attachment and detachment. Why it creates attachment and detachment? By constant thinking over them. But the world is constantly changing. Who knows discernment? I just concluded one session with a beautiful woman. I told you, women are always beautiful. We need not to. Uh, so she was so much stressed and suffering that why my father, who is on a deathbed somewhere in some part of the world, I'm not revealing that, why he gave more money to my younger brother and why he gave me little money to me. Go on thinking about it. It is against dispassion. You have a money, you have a choice to give me or don't give me, isn't it? Inquire, examine. So, whatever is changing can never be me or mine. Understand this. Because whatever is changing, we put likes and dislikes, attachment and detachment on those objects and people, and then attachment and detachment becomes the craving becomes the desire. And what is desire? Desire is seeking happiness outside in any object and people and things, which is not possible at all. So, through the discernment, I understand the constant changing nature of the world of people, objects, and things. And that becomes the dispassion. Stop talking to me. Thank you. So, you are in dispassion. People change. People change. Now, my honey should not change. Ask yourself, have you ever changed? Yes, I have changed, but my honey should not change. Are you getting it? So I'm imposing something. When you impose something through your mind, it will lead to the seeking pleasure in the world, and that is not there. The mind is confused. You are not in discernment. You are not in dispassion. That is responsible for your sorrow and suffering. You are responsible for your sorrow and suffering. Nobody else in this world. That understanding needs to be understood. Are you getting it? Neither attachment nor detachment, but the absence of them. That is how the dispassion is defined. So, can you see the deeper insight by our great masters? Because, I reacted against you and then I said, I'm sorry. But the mind retains that impression. That impression is known as passion. And that by passion continues even if become old, 80 and 90 years old. I'm dying. I call my son, No, I have left $1 million for you. I'm still attached. I can give you a lot of examples like this later. So when you practice, Viveka continues and dispassion grows within the mind of a seeker. You're not affected by it. You're not running after the pleasure. And when you are giving an importance to the pleasure, this is what is known as the impurity of the mind. Because my mind is constantly thinking. That is why I don't succeed in meditation. During the practice of meditation, those impressions of the passion returns. So, dispassion. But dispassion is the result of discernment. Remember, so that we can have behavior and the knowledge, they align together. Look at the in-depth, deeper aspects of psychology here. Now understand dispassion is a state of mind that discovers that pleasure is not happiness. That reaction is not the only way. I have other options available. Your mind might be thinking, I reacted there last week. I should not have done it. That's a good to become a seeker. It happened to me, but I don't know whether it is happening to you. So even a slight reaction is not happening, that makes the mind impure. When Viveka is applied to pleasure, we discover that happiness is within me. So mind drops that passion. It says, thank you very much. You hate me, thank you very much. You love me, thank you very much. And when we live into that state of discernment and dispassion, we find how the knowledge and the behavior go together, how the knowledge and the attitude go together. You want to get the things done. You may have a question and a doubt. Uh, but how to get the things done to get the things done when somebody is not listening? Then you rehearse to be angry. Don't become angry. You have a total control over the mind. You have taken over the mind. You have the intellect. Why you are not listening to me? You should listen to me. Oh, you can shout, but internally you are. You have a perfect alignment between knowledge and the behavior. That is the beauty of these two steps: discernment and dispassion. Last thing that you should also understand, that I will take up in detail, when the discernment and dispassion are together, there is a possibility that 99% you have a freedom from the fear and insecurities, and freedom from the sorrow and the suffering. You get some insight deeper. So when you have that insight, that inspires you to continue the journey and enter into the higher state of meditation. So from today, Terry, let your assistant do something nasty. Tell your mind why to react. We are getting there. You have told me a couple of times. That's why I'm reminding you. You are open. That's why I'm pointing you. So once we understand that, look at the journey of the life. Okay, let us start our practice now. Eyes are closed.